Welcome in to the latest episode of Betting the Pitch presents Major League Baseball. I'm your host, the real underscore G Warner, joined by at A Brooks Bets. Follow him on Twitter if you want to, fill in the blanks or, just fall in love with 3-1 to start on his first 4 Major League Baseball episodes on the Betting the Pitch podcast network. I'm unfortunately a lowly 2-2, probably profitable because I'm giving out underdogs most of the time, but that makes us, I guess. So that'd be 6-3 on our podcast. Am I doing the math
Five
right?
and three.
5-3. 5-3. There we go. So we are above 500. Going to try to stay that way. Stick with us. We're going to go through the entire Wednesday baseball card on this Tuesday, April the 23rd for April the 24th. We'll have best bets end of show. At A Brooks Bets, do you have anything to get off your chest about this Major League Baseball season, or at least in the 6 days since we've talked on recorded live lines?
Well, the Phillies haven't lost yet. 7 since we last talked. 7 games in a row.
Until tonight, baby.
They lost tonight to the Reds. That's right. My boy, Ellie De La Cruz. He's going to be the number 3 player in fantasy.
Okay.
Probably
Behind whom?
Behind Acuna and Julio Rodriguez, who I expect to rebound later on. But
wow. He did hit
there's a question right off the
tonight.
bat.
He hit a bomb.
Would you trade right now if you had Ellie De La Cruz on your team? Would you trade him for Julio Rodriguez?
Yes.
Depends on I would too. Yeah.
This is a great stretch. We've seen great stretches from Ellie De La Cruz, and maybe he has matured over an offseason, but I'm going to need to see it. I also feel like you are not giving Mookie Betts enough credit, and he's in a very good lineup that will score him a ton of runs. Maybe he'll steal more bases than Freddie Freeman this
You
year.
could make the same argument for Freddie Freeman and Shohei Ohtani, maybe without the stolen base upside, just like Mookie. But if you're playing, I think Ellie's probably going to lead the league in stolen bases or get close, like get up upwards of 50, which is going to be exciting for the people who care about steals. But
well, considering we are in at least one, I think we're in 2 fantasy leagues together. But since this is more of a betting show than a fantasy show, I'm gonna tiptoe to the other side of the market.
Get into it.
Though I gotta say, I do love you mentioning all the top players from my one fantasy team in our loudest of leagues. Because I don't know who traded me Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman. I think it was a combination of Matt Calvert, shout out, and
Hi, Fletch.
Kim Jong Fletch.
Fletch
decided to give me too many good players, but who am I to complain? I just come in second every year, get a bye, and then get knocked out. We'll move to the National. So we got a bunch of early games. We're gonna go through the whole card. We'll start with Arizona visiting St. Louis, fresh off, I think, a 14-1 lead, if not victory. Jordan Montgomery in his second start of the season at Kyle Gibson. Current prices. Arizona is now installed as a favorite after, I think, taking the first 2 in the series. Arizona minus 120 at BetOnline, Sportsbetting.ag. If you're not a member there yet, go check the podcast descriptions on Apple Podcasts, or on Spotify, also on YouTube, and you can get free money at those casinos just for signing up. Kyle Gibson is, I think he's okay at this point in his career. Looks like I'll go the line again. Arizona minus 120. Kyle Gibson, total of 8. A little bit juice to the over. So what are we thinking? Montgomery, how deep do you think he goes in this game?
So I really wanted to bet the Diamondbacks in this game before I researched it. And then I thought, and I looked at the line, and I just can't do that. I know what you said about Kyle Gibson. He is the run-of-the-mill pitcher now in his career. He probably will give you some innings. He'll probably be with about a 1.5 whip and maybe a 4 ERA, but he is, I guess, steady. Jordan Montgomery, yeah, sure. He shined in the postseason. He got himself a Scott Boras contract this year with the Diamondbacks to switch sides. I am going to go in this game, though, the Cardinals. I didn't want to bet the Cardinals, but I'm going to bet the Cardinals if you're going to give me underdog price to do it.
Okay. I want to guess how much Kyle Gibson has made roughly in his Major League Baseball career.
Oh, goodness. 75 million.
Very close. I think it's probably in the 60s, but if you round it all up and go through his 500 per year, league minimums, I think you get close to 75. Gigantic money. And all you have to do is be mediocre. Just make sure your arm doesn't fall off. I don't know really where I want to go with this one. I was really kicking myself for not backing Arizona, Jordan Montgomery on Friday against Blake Snell in San Francisco. I think that the Diamondbacks close a favorite there. I still don't think the Diamondbacks are that good, but I think the Cardinals might be a bad team. So I'm looking to be against them as much as possible. Road favorites are not really my thing. So I think I'll play under the total here, expecting getaway to umpires to really show up because they have been all season. Moving next to the New York Mets visiting those San Francisco Giants. We got Sean Manaea at Blake Snell. Blake Snell minus 130 favorite at home. Total is 8. Do you believe Blake Snell is going to wake up and smell the roses of his previous Cy Young almost awards or Cy Young awards that he's had in the past?
Probably wake up, yes, but not tomorrow.
Okay.
Not today. I mean, like I'm not gonna bet on Blake Snell right now. Got an 11 something ERA. I mean, the guy, I don't know what he was doing all season. Again, he's another Scott Boras client who signed late and might take a while to get going. I know we were thinking the same thing for like 2 or 3 months last year. He was not good. And then starting in, I guess, mid-June or July, he was otherworldly and won the Cy Young. And hugely valuable pitcher. He is not that right now. He's been up and down that entire way his entire career. You know, his Cy Young season was great. And then he had very mediocre or worse, like droppable in fantasy type seasons. I mean, bad season. He was on the waiver wire mid-June last year in fantasy leagues, if anybody's wondering how up and down he can be. So yeah, no, I'm not going to bet on Blake Snell. I am going to bet on the other team.
Simple enough. I think I'm with you on the Mets. Manaea's been really good, been missing more bats. I think it's been a big thing that he's been working on to try to get his career continuing, I guess, because I think it kind of stalled at a certain point. But yeah, Blake Snell, even when he was at his best last season, I think was still leading the league in walks, which sounds like
Yes.
our signals are a reversion to the mean. So I'll go with the New York Mets there as well. A little bit worried about a getaway day, but I think the Mets bullpen is actually really good as well. Philadelphia visits Cincinnati. You got Sam Turnbull at Nick Lodolo. Currently, Lodolo a slight minus 109 favorite at home, about even money on the Phillies on the road. Over under 8.5, juice pretty heavily to over. What are we thinking about the Philadelphia offense? They take advantage of a Nick Lodolo who kind of gave up a lot of home runs last year.
Yeah, he had lower leg injuries too, I think. So I'm not like, as worried about that, I guess, as the elbows, which seem to falter in hard throwing pitchers. He's a young guy who has serious promise. I'm not. I'm gonna lean over in this game, especially at Great American Ballpark. You said 8.5. I mean, I would lean over, but I'm gonna take the Phillies. I know the Phillies won tonight. Or sorry, the Reds won
Lost them.
tonight.
Yep, yep,
Yeah, the Reds won tonight, but that snapped their streak of 7 straight. I think the Phillies are good. I know Bryce Harper's out, I think, on paternity leave.
correct.
So congratulations to him. But I'm
Congratulations on the
still,
six.
yes. But Spencer Turnbull's also shown some signs of being a pretty good pitcher in his career. I think that he can turn it on and be just as good as Nick Lodolo. And Alexis Diaz, although I do have him as the saves leader at a 22-1 shot. I don't know if that's going to be very promising moving forward.
They just need to win close games. That's probably what
They got to
bad,
win. They got
mediocre
to
teams will
win.
do.
Ellie's being Ellie. Ellie's so fun to watch. I don't even care if you love him or hate him. He gets a walk. Like he had a career high 4 walks on Sunday, I think, or Saturday or Sunday, and he stole all the bases he possibly could. I mean, this guy will steal second. He'll steal third. I don't remember Ricky Henderson as much as I should or wish I hoped I would, but like he is kind of changing the game in that way where he's so aggressive that he's kind of stupid. If you look at the analytic version of it, but he is unbelievably aggressive, and that shows itself in the K rate and it shows itself in other ways. But if he's going to walk 4 times in a game and then steal 3 bases and just be a menace, and on the third on the steal of third, there was an overthrow, and so he scored on the error. So I mean, he makes stuff happen. I really like him just watching him. Um, Anyway, we get back to the game. Actually, I got lost in Ellie land.
It's all right. I know you live there. I feel like the people might enjoy, and they might be Ellie fans themselves. I don't think I'm a fan or not a fan. I love the craze that it reminded me of Lynn Sandy last year when I was in New York, when he came up, and literally that's who everyone talked about. Even people that don't watch baseball, don't care about baseball, they were like texting me about Ellie De La Cruz. And I like when people talk sports to me, even if they don't pay attention to sports at all. I think I like Philadelphia. They're a stronger team here. I worry that Nick Lodolo is in a really bad park and is facing a really powerful lineup, and I don't think that adds up very well. This is not a getaway day game, so I think we see over 8.5 is also on my radar. Probably moves
For
to
the
9.
record, I do like the Phillies as well. It's a
You said
toss-up
that.
game, roughly, right? Yeah.
You said that. We'll move next to Milwaukee visiting Pittsburgh. Bryce Wilson at Priester, Quinn Priester, maybe. And it looks like we have no line of bet online, but Circa has one out there. Very slight favorite, Pittsburgh minus 109 at home. It looks like total here is 8.5 again. Pittsburgh's had a pretty good start to the series, 2 wins, 2 saves for David Bednar. I will say Aroldis Chapman was wild again, and he's seemingly
Yes.
not the Aroldis Chapman of well, at least it doesn't seem to be
Well,
good Aroldis Chapman at this point. How do you feel about the Pittsburgh bullpen?
right. He's done that before.
Yep, not new.
Bednar should be solid. Jared Jones, God,
Whew.
yesterday it was
Whew.
he reminds me almost exactly of Kerry Wood. Like so much that I actually went back and on YouTube and I watched the Kerry Wood performance in 1998 when he struck out 20 as a rookie in his 5th start ever. It was that, which was also amazing. It's whatever pitch scores you can find. It was the number 1 pitched game in all of history, apparently. Anyway, that's what Jared Jones reminds me of. He hasn't done all that yet. He hasn't struck out 20 yet. But Jared Jones is not on the hill for this one. The Pirates started out really hot, I think 9-2. I think they lost 7 straight. Now you said they won 2 straight. So
Yep.
they have those signs of the young team that's not quite ready to gel yet. I'll probably stay off this game. I think it's more of a pick 'em. So if I were to bet it, I'd bet the underdog, whoever it is. But
Yeah, I think I'm
the
with you there.
Pirates are exciting. They're not quite there yet in my mind.
I think I like Milwaukee, if anything. Bryce Wilson,
Yeah.
always good in long relief. As a starter, it's never been that easy, and that's why he's been kind of bouncing around organizations. I do think there's some big problems in Milwaukee lineup, though. Yelich is hurt on the IL. I don't think he's coming back for this game tomorrow on Wednesday. And without him, I feel like they were really hot to start the season, and that's tailed off. And there's still some issues in that bullpen until they get Devin Williams back, which is going to be a while. Move next to Washington for the Los Angeles Dodgers, visiting those Nationals. Some guy named Knack is starting against Jake Irvin. Just basically, what?
So yeah, some guy named Knack. That's what I thought. I was like, "Who is this? A bullpen game?" I guess.
I think the Dodgers are literally just bringing dudes up that they've just invented out of a creative player or some sort of simulation on the old baseball triple play video games of the past or whatever. And they just start random guys. They're not ever good, yet they are a minus 175 favorite on the road. Total is 9.5. Juice a little bit more to under than to over. I like the Dodgers lineup is awesome. We already talked about my fantasy team, which is basically all the 2 of the top 3 Dodgers hitters, which is awesome. Thank you to King Young Fletch and Matthew Calvert. Again, 2 shout outs. Don't expect those again, but thank you for tuning in. I think the Dodgers just, they can't keep getting away with this. This is kind of what the meme that comes to my mind when they're such a big favorite on the road. But I don't know that I'm betting Washington, just hoping that Jake Irvin's going to get 4 double plays turned behind him. Like, that's not going to work. So I think over 9.5 is probably the only thing I could do here.
Yeah, that's probably a good lean. The Dodgers will mash, right? You hope that the Nationals can maybe keep up. 10-0 still wins you your bet. So yeah, I'm not going to bet this game. I've been consistent this entire podcast season. I'm not going to do a minus 185 or anything like that with the Dodgers. I, of course, expect the Dodgers to win the game. Little spoiler alert, I might bet a huge dog later on in this podcast, but
Ooh, hey now.
not the Nationals right now.
That's what we call a tease in this business. We'll move next to Miami visiting Atlanta. We got Miami with the very popular undecided starting at Ronaldo Lopez. Looks like Lopez minus 215 favorite, gigantic. Total is 9. But these are early numbers. I'm not sure if we can trust them. Ronaldo Lopez has worked his way into the rotation. Do you think he sticks around, Andrew Brooks?
Um, he's always been that bullpen guy, right? He played for the White Sox for a long
Yep.
time, and
They
he had
tried to
this.
start him. They tried to close him. They tried to
Yeah,
set up man him. It didn't
maybe it's a
work
White
in any
Sox
direction.
problem because they've had great prospects for a long time, and now they're 3-20. So
Mm.
maybe that's a White Sox problem. But that's a pretty bad record now that I think about it.
Black Sox,
No,
baby.
no faith in Ronaldo Lopez. I mean, no faith in any of this game. I'm probably going to stay off of it. Sorry, podcast listeners, but if you really wanted my pick on this game, I just can't offer any lean in any
Yeah, well, don't
direction.
worry, podcast listeners. Hang out for the best bet coming end of
That's right.
show. We will give you
It will
that.
happen.
We'll give you what you need. That's what A Brooks Bets does. And I think Ronaldo Lopez has the arm, and I think any organization would probably be better to harness that than Chicago. Last one, we have San Diego at Colorado. Matt Waldron, who doesn't really seem to be, to me, like a Major League Baseball quality starter, and he's visiting the famous undecided for Colorado. Seems to me that the weather is turning up a little bit. We already have 11 runs through not even 6 innings in Colorado tonight. Are we feeling like the weather and the bats are going to start waking up in Colorado because it's been cold and very under heavy for so far this season?
Yeah, I mean that's a good point. Is if the weather's good in Colorado, it's gonna go over, I guess. I mean, there's a lot that stadium is such an outlier. Um, but the Padres are a better team. Again, this is probably going to be a big favorite on the Padres side. Probably stay away from it. I hate doing like no opinion on 2 games, but I mean,
Don't even worry about it. We don't have
like
blinds, but it
Waldron.
looks
I
like
don't know.
weather will be 77 tomorrow, so that's pretty
Look at
warm
that
for
ball flying. Let's
Colorado.
go over. How about that?
There
Let's
we
move
go.
for runs.
Let's go over on the non-existing line. We'll move to the American League now. Dean Kramer and the Baltimore Orioles visit the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, which is weird to see them as the earliest game in the AL on Wednesday. Probably means we have a lot of day games on Thursday, regardless. Kramer minus 121 favorite, Baltimore on the road, plus 111 on the Angels at home. Over under is 9. She's very heavily to over. We might see 9.5 before this first pitch is thrown. What do we think about Baltimore? Are they the 107 team win team from last year? Because to me, they're off to a much slower start than that.
Well, they're 15-7 as we speak in the first place. They're tied with first place to the AL East. They'll be right there with the Yankees as they go down to it. I mean, I think they'll be a playoff team, but as you mentioned, that's not the biggest barrier to entry as it has been before.
Yep.
So the Angels actually beat up on Dean Kramer in matchups. So this might be one of those first 5 things that I look at, but I might go Angels first 5 in this one because the matchup statistics, the Angels in general do hit Dean Kramer pretty well. I think there's 5 players in the lineup with over 5 at bats that have an OPS over 1.0. So I'll go first 5
I think that's
Angels.
all over 1,000 OPS. I think is at least all-star level, maybe Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
I mean, I like Baltimore. I feel like they still have some holes in the bullpen. I really feel like they're eventually going to start playing real teams instead of just seemingly always playing the Twins, the Royals, the Angels, et cetera, et cetera. So we'll see. I think they'll finish below the pace of last season, but that's probably obvious because it's really hard to meet.
Small tangent. Who would you rather be a fan of right now? The Baltimore Orioles or the Cincinnati Reds?
Baltimore Orioles.
New owner. I mean, they just called up Heston Kierstad. They have Rutschman and Henderson and all these guys. I mean, these homegrown players. I saw the starting 9 today. I think 6 or 7 of them were drafted in the first round by the Orioles. So like they're obviously they were so bad for so long, like the Astros kind of did in the mid 2010s. they're on the right trajectory as well. I think the Reds and the Orioles are both very exciting young teams in what have traditionally been kind of small markets, or at least small spenders lately. So I would love to be an Orioles fan right now. I'm not one. I'm a Red Sox fan, but I agree. Like the Orioles are going to be good for the next while. Hopefully they lock their players up like the Braves kind of have, and like, and they get a little bit of stability, but you know, um, that's an exciting team.
Yeah, the Reds feel a
And
little bit far off of it to me because I feel like they don't have anywhere near the same type of talent. So it might have been an easy question, which if you want to make the host look smart, I appreciate that. And we'll take that every day, even while Grayson Rodriguez is getting lit up in Anaheim as we speak. Moving next to those Red Sox, here's a question for you at A Brooks Bets. Would you rather be a fan of the Red Sox or the Oakland Athletics?
well, that one I can take solace over being a Red Sox fan on that one.
Well, the Red
Maybe
Sox will be
I'll probably
starting Cooper Criswell, who I know you are a big fan of, and he's visiting Cookie Carrasco in Cleveland. This looks like Guardians are a minus 133 favorite at home, totals 8.5. And Cooper Criswell is certainly not who the Red Sox want to be starting, but they have so many injuries that they're dealing with. Who knows about the status of Rafi Devers, Tyler O'Neill, all that sort of stuff. Things are not great in Beantown at the moment, but Cookie Carrasco can get hit. So what do we think about this one?
yeah, and Tristan Casas too. He I thought he had an oblique. It turns out worse than that. It's a
Ooh,
rib cage injury. MRI shows significant damage, whatever that means.
not great.
Um, not
Not great,
not
Ben.
great. Not great. At best case, it was oblique when he went down with a simple swing. Yeah, so not great. The Indians are the best. Sorry, the Guardians are the best team in the league. They have the most wins in the league, I should say.
Yeah.
Um, they're 17-6 as we speak right now. I think they always put it together. I mean, the Guardians are just one of those like Rays teams, one of those kind of Brewers teams that just sneak around. They're always there and they're always kind of good. And Jose Ramirez is still there. He's an all-star. And um,
Josh Naylor suddenly doesn't strike
Josh
out
and
anymore.
Bo, his brother, they went same home run in the same inning. They're doing like Griffey type stuff. I mean, obviously not on that
The
level,
whole
but
Naylor
it's cool to
clan.
see. Yeah, I'm leaning Guardians in this game. I just don't think that. Yeah.
It's not a
They put their
reference
best
to
outfielder at shortstop. That's where the Red Sox are now. I mean, they don't they're shorthanded and they have been. I feel like for a couple of years, the injuries just keep hitting and they keep signing these guys. I mean, starting with Chris Sale and all this, and they shipped him away and didn't pitch for very long. It's just, give me the Guardians.
Okay, I like the Guardians too. I feel like the Guardians basically have now they're basically playing 6 inning games because they have a great bullpen that you cannot come back on, really. Moving to Detroit, visiting Tampa. The Tigers somehow have won the first 2 games of this series. Jack Flaherty against the bullpen game. Looks like Tyler Alexander will be the bulk guy for the Rays. Looks like Tampa Bay minus 115 favorite. Over under here is 8 plus 105 coming back on the Tigers. What do you think about Jack Flaherty? Is his shoulder finally healthy?
Yeah, I think so. I think it is. Good for him too, because I had him in a keeper league that we were both in that we both got out of, and that was one of the reasons is because I invested in Jack Flaherty and he was bad for 3 years and it just didn't make any sense anymore. But along with I traded Mookie Betts for Wander Franco, and that was even worse.
It's all right.
All for cheaper
I'm
cost
sure
basis.
Wander's doing pretty well in the JL League.
Yeah. So here's a quick question: who do you think is the better? Like, who has more wins, the Tigers or the Rays at the end of the year?
Ooh, I'll go. It's probably not the everyone's thinking. I'll go Tigers because they're in a really weak division.
I actually think so too. I actually think so too, and I think that's kind of probably a minority take if we were to put up a poll.
Agreed.
But
We
yeah,
can
if
put up a
that's the
poll. I
case,
will put up a poll on Spotify when this episode is published, and hopefully we'll get a million responses.
that's right. I'll take the Tigers. It's Scooble, right?
No, Flaherty. School was
Oh
Monday.
yeah, Flaherty. He's second best on their team for sure. We just talked about him. And yeah, I'll take the Tigers. I think that they are also rounding into form. Riley Green hit a home run today. I've been high on him for a little bit. I think they'll start to come together. I'm not a fan of Javi Baez, obviously, but hopefully they
Oh,
minimize his
my God.
impact. And he's still pretty slick fielding, I think, I hope. The
Well,
next,
he's definitely slick fielding. I've been betting the Tigers pretty much every day this season, it feels, or at least something in their games. And their defense is horrible. Won today's game, 4 runs, 3 errors committed by the Tigers, but it still was enough to win thanks to that Riley Green home run and I think an insurance run late as well. It's ugly. The Tigers can't really hit. Finally, Torkelson got a day off today, which is amazing. They still made 3 errors without his normal 1 error per
oh,
game average. But
I was watching that game with you, Torkelson, the errors at first base, and even the ones that aren't classified as errors. It's like
yeah,
plays you should
can't
make, but
scoop
he's not making.
anything. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, Javi
Like they
Baez.
have a DH. They should use him at the DH. I don't know who's DHing, but
Well, they were. I feel like they were putting Kerry. I mean, they basically were playing Kerry Carpenter only against righties, and they were like, "Wait, he's the only guy on this team that can hit, so we probably should play him against everybody," and that's been working.
yeah.
It's just, I mean, the Tigers have an awesome bullpen. We'll see how long that works, but I think AJ Hinch has proven, especially in his time as in Houston, that he was really good at that. They basically need to pitch really well, and in Tampa, that's a place they can do it because it's a really low scoring park. So I think it all works. All in the idea of also fading Tyler Alexander, who I don't think is a good enough pitcher at this level to really do much, especially as a slight favorite, even a slight favorite at home. And I think the momentum's clearly on the Tigers' side after taking the first two. Moving next to the Bronx, we have Oakland and Jack Boyle, I think, against Clark Schmidt and the New York Yankees. Schmidt a minus 205 favorite, so over $2 to win one. Total's 8.5, just a little bit to under. Oakland's been pretty feisty whole season and definitely in this series.
Yeah, they're 2 games ahead of the Astros in their own division. They're in fourth in the AL West.
Hell yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, I think the Yankees are a good team, and I think the A's are a bad team. And I know that's a big picture approach, but Clark Schmidt should stay in their rotation. I think that Aaron Judge hasn't even been hot yet. Like he's not been great. Um, he will be. He's great. But I'm not gonna bet this game. You get, $2 to one, but um, I would bet the Yankees if you really want to, but why would you? Kind of
I'm
like
actually
two.
tempted a little bit by run line plus 1.5 on
Yeah.
Oakland. It's just hard because if the Yankees decide to hit, Oakland cannot keep up. I don't really trust Boyle. Clark Schmidt can miss bats. He's facing a pretty weak AAA at best lineup. So probably was one I'll skip as well. Moving next to Toronto visiting Kansas City while I wear my Blue Jays jersey here. We got some
I
guy.
got that in Seattle.
Yes, actually, a friend of mine when I was going to the Seattle game, my friend brought one. Francis, what's up? Thank you for the jersey. My favorite number 27. Even though I was like in a Twitter fight with Vladdy Guerrero fans, and he of course got me a Vladdy Guerrero jersey, which is hilarious because I'm like telling how Vladdy sucks, can't even catch, and then all of a sudden I'm wearing his jersey to a game 3 straight days. So I guess that was how it went, or at least 2 straight days, I think. No shirt underneath it, so I'm sure I smelled great. But I guess Seattle summers are not so bad. Anyway, we got a Rodriguez with a Y in front of it. He's starting against Alec Marsh. It looks like Rodriguez, a minus 117 favorite, seems to have good stuff, not going deep in games. So we got a lot of Toronto bullpen, but I think the Toronto bullpen is one of the best in the bigs right now. They're visiting Kansas City, don't really hit. Toronto's offense, I think, has been lackluster to say the least, but Vladdy does seem to be in much better shape now. So we'll see how that ends up turning out rest of season. Still got 3 games left on this card. What do you think about this one? Are you tempted by the home Kansas City underdog?
No, I'm taking the Blue Jays as the favorite. Um, is Yariel Rodriguez, I
Yada
believe. He
yada
has
yada yada.
serious strikeout potential.
I
He
like
misses
that.
bats. He's one of those guys
I
who,
want
I
that.
mean, I guess worst case he's like Hunter Green, and then best case he's like, I don't know, Jared Jones or something. But
Worst case, Hunter Green. I'm pretty sure Yadiel Rodriguez would take Hunter Green for sure, and at least his contract.
yeah, I faded Hunter Green successfully yesterday, so that was good for me. Even though I
Good
do have
work.
him on one of my fantasy teams, he does miss bats, but Hunter Green, yeah, he would be the best closer in the league, and anyway, he just keeps
They got one.
firing.
Alexis Diaz. Come on, baby. They want your 22 to 1 to come through or
Yeah, that's true.
23 and a
That
half.
would ruin that bet for sure. No, the Blue Jays, I think they're underachieving. I think they're probably the most underachieving team in the league so far. Bo Bichette has been bad. Actually, his StatCast is bad. Like he's in the bottom 10% of exit velocity and barrels and hard hit rate and all that stuff. But I don't think that will continue. He has in horses, if we're talking horses, 2 weeks, Kentucky Derby, he has the pedigree
Aha.
with his dad, Dante Bichette. So he's been around locker rooms. He knows he's had some good training. He's had money his whole life, and he can hit the ball. He's not going to be this bad. Vlad Guerrero Jr. also does that, and what's his name? Biggio. He's not turned out quite as well, but there he is. There he is, Vladdy Daddy.
Vladdy Daddy. Yeah. So to answer
I'll
your,
take the Blue Jays as the slight favorite here.
so to answer your Bo Bichette defamatory comments, he did have a 3-run triple tonight, cleared the bases. I don't know really if you can even call it pedigree because his dad was an awesome DH and he's a shortstop. So it just feels like a very different player, but certainly has his dad.
Fun fact, Dante Bichette has a
Yeah.
negative WAR in his whole career.
And you would
That's
never
wild.
probably think about that because of
Like at least one-time All-Star and negative WAR. So anyway, yeah.
So he is. So in other words, Bo Bichette actually is negative pedigree. So Hunter Green also $53 million contract.
I think I have negative pedigree, but that's neither here nor there.
Well, I mean, yes, I think it's the dog food you've been eating instead of giving Maui your food and eating.
Yeah, my dog has better pedigree
hers.
than me for sure.
Probably. We'll go next to the White Sox, who don't have much pedigree at this point. Garrett Crochet at Joe Ryan. Looks like Ryan a -185 favorite at home. Total is 7, juiced very heavily to under. Can you trust the Chicago White Sox bullpen to get you to that window with under 7 runs combined in this game?
No. But here's what I can trust. White Sox first 5.
Ooh, okay.
I think Crochet is awesome. Well, I know he's awesome. His all of his metrics are awesome. He has pitched great. An electric fastball, an electric slider. He even mixes in a changeup. He is great. He's 1-3 with a 5.61 ERA, right? So they're also the White Sox are 3-20. They're against Joe Ryan, who was one of my pitchers at the beginning of the season, who I outlined as somebody who will be better this year than he was last year. He underperformed his metrics from last year, and we're only a month in, not even a month in. So why am I abandoning that? Good question.
Why are you abandoning that?
I am taking Crochet and the White Sox as what I last saw as a +160 first 5 favorite.
All right. +160 first 5 underdog.
But I don't trust the bullpen. Do the first 5. Like who knows after that?
Yeah, we saw the White Sox blow up. I think a 5-2 lead tonight to lose 6-5. I'm not even sure they made it to extra innings. Poor them. I think Joe Ryan is I mean, I think he's been showing some really good signs of him improving, got more pitches instead of just fastball changeup, basically, which I think I'm looking forward to. I don't really know what to do with this one. I'll go under 7 because I don't expect a lot of runs, but I don't know who I'm trusting. I don't like either bullpen. So actually what we learned from last week's best bets that first 5 unders, if you're playing under, go first 5. So you don't have to worry about Manfred Men in extra innings or bullpens in general. Last 2 games we'll go through. Seattle visiting Texas. We get Bryce Miller at John Gray. John Gray, a slight -111 favorite. Total here is 9. A lot of respect for Seattle tonight. Logan Gilbert dominated. Now you got Bryce Miller, who seems like he has some more pitches, Joe Ryan style, that seem to be working. And John Gray is in the Texas rotation because they don't have any other options.
Yeah, John Gray got a unfair, I don't know, what was it, 6 or 8 years in Colorado. I'm not professing all my faith in John Gray, but I've been a pro Rangers guy this entire time, this entire season. I think that they'll win that division. I couldn't believe that they were underdogs to the Astros, who are now the Lastros, literally, as we speak. Only 2 teams in the history of Major League Baseball have made the playoffs from the poor record the Astros have started with, 7-18, I believe it is. Anyway, we're talking about the Rangers, and again, they're 12-12, right? So 500 team, and I guess Vegas doesn't view them any differently than they did at the beginning of the year, which was not the favorite in their division. And I think that they're great. I know that they won the World Series last year, and I'm uh a, a square in that respect. I'm taking the Rangers minus, what was it, minus 110?
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
give you minus 111. I think I lean that way
Yeah.
as well. It's just hard for me to trust Bryce Miller. It's hard for me to trust a lot of things about Seattle, but I mean, they jumped on Texas early tonight. Dane Dunning's a little bit different than John Gray. But I think this will be another close matchup, maybe like under 9, just because I feel like Texas, they got Nathaniel Lowe back, but they're still missing a lot of people from that lineup. Last game on the list, we have the Lastros, L apostrophe Astros, and Sam Arrighetti or whatever Arrighetti. I don't even need to know his first name because he's probably going down after the start. The Astros are visiting the Chicago Cubs, Jameson Tyone, and Tyone a slight minus 107 favorite at home. Does that feel too short for you for a home team like the Cubs?
No, home team, even money ish. I'm taking the Cubs in this one for sure. Again, you mentioned a guy, Arrighetti, who I've never really heard of. He's 0-2 with an 11.57 ERA as I look at this preview right now. The Cubs are at home. It is a night game, so it's not the classic Wrigley matinee. I don't think the weather or the wind is like affecting the Wrigley as much right now as it does in the summer, which, by the way, in the summer, you should bet the unders at Wrigley almost all the time. But right now it's okay. And yeah, I'm gonna take the Cubs. I think they're a better team. I don't think the Astros are bad. I know I've been hating on the Astros, but Arrighetti's probably bad. And I don't, they're beside Jordan Alvarez. I mean, they're not really performing. Altuve's actually been great too, but you know, um, short and sweet. And I'm taking the Cubs in this one.
Thank you. Yes, we're running out of time. So thank you all for tuning in. If you want to increase the visibility of this podcast or the podcasting network, go to Betting the Pitch on Spotify, at the real underscore G Warner on YouTube, and on Twitter, Instagram, all those sort of things out there. Also Betting the Pitch on Apple Podcasts. Leave a 5-star review, huge for the search rankings. For our best bets, though, at A Brooks Bets.
Really
Give me
quick
your
before you
pick.
start the reel, do you think there's a bounce back spot in baseball, or is that just college basketball or some other sports?
No. I think it works for pitchers. I think it works for teams. Now give your best
Okay.
pick because we're running out of time for real.
I am going to take the Phillies as roughly an even money against the Reds tomorrow. I think the Phillies, if you want to talk about bounce back spots, they won 7 in a row. They lost tonight by a lot, but they'll bounce back and beat the Reds tomorrow. That's my best bet.
So you just heard at A Brooks Bets. He gave you the Phillies as his best bet for this episode of Betting the Pitch MLB edition. I'm your host, the real underscore G Warner, and we are live with you every Tuesday night, going over the entire Wednesday baseball card, of course, mixed in with references of our friends, fantasy baseball, and just the life that is on the diamond. So stick with us, come with us. We got a long way to go, and we will continue the rest of the season. But for my best bet at the real underscore G Warner, Instagram, Patreon, and on Twitter, I'm going to go with this New York Mets plus 120 on the road, just fading Blake Snell at this point. So grab the Phillies plus 101 Spencer Turnbull for at A Brooks Bets. Grab the Mets and Sean Mania at the real underscore G Warner's best bet as we try to improve on our 5-3 record so far this Major League Baseball season. And that'll do it for this episode. We'll see you all very soon next Tuesday for our next episode. Good night.